Hi, welcome to Animated Movies. The movie The Revenant is the sixth feature film by the renowned and beloved Mexican director Alejandro Iñárritu, which was completed in 2015 in the neo-western genre. The film was extremely well received, winning Alejandro the Academy Award for Best Director. The screenplay was inspired by two well-known stories, one, the fascinating novel of the same name by Mark Smith, and the other, the famous tale of Hugh C. Glass, a well-known Irish explorer from Pennsylvania, known as the Mountain Man. He was abandoned by his fellow explorers in unknown woods, as there seemed to be too little hope of his survival after he was mauled by a grizzly bear and suffered fatal wounds. Yet, against all odds, he did survive and managed to crawl back to the city. Rather than a mere story, the movie represents a flow and an experience unfolding in the damp and cold atmosphere of the 19th century America. It might not be accurate to speak of the purpose of the lead character for the protagonist. Hugh C. Glass, brilliantly played by DiCaprio, is in fact a voyager and a wanderer. Neo-Western was a film genre that came into existence approximately in the early 60s. In this style of filmmaking and screenwriting, the audience is no longer faced with good and evil characters, and the binary and idealist world of Western collapses on its own. There are no longer any posh heroes with well-arranged hair and attractive styles. The characters, whether the lead or non-lead, are no longer central. All are plotting and furthering their goals within the ontological framework presented by the film, with no guarantees to accomplish them. In neo-Western, we deal with a bunch of dark, at best, gray characters. Dirty, patched clothes, the smell of sweat and stench, drunkenness and mindless scuffles are integral parts of this genre. In many of these films, the earth is moist and muddy and the sky is cold and rainy. This movie throws us into such an atmosphere, the experience of a difficult life buried in the mud with snow, storm and blizzard. Perhaps the first thing to catch our eyes in the movie is the endeavor, or better, the struggle for survival. The characters in such a cold and breathtaking atmosphere are buried deeply in themselves in the true sense of the word. They only see themselves and only accompany others as long as they do not feel burdened by them. Alejandro Iñárritu's masterpiece masterfully displays such an atmosphere. There is no originality in the relations among the characters. Everyone is friends with one another, and everyone is cheating. Yet the glory of work of this Mexican director does not end here. Iñárritu creates profound and unique characters in the very atmosphere we discussed earlier, bringing deep and subtle meanings out of the mud and stench of this dark and obscure world for the audience to view. Meanings not necessarily moralistic, but thoroughly humane. To these two elements, one should add the struggle for survival and fighting the wildlife, which has doubled the charm of the film. Iñárritu has skillfully managed to utilize these elements in his work. Perhaps someone who has not watched this film would consider the existence of these notions in the film stereotypical and think that Hollywood is filled with such works and films of this genre. But it can safely be assumed that the brilliant screenplay and Iñárritu's direction gets you hooked in the early minute of the movie to the extent that you will find every second of it a novel and refreshing experience. It is true that this film concerns love and loss, but what captures the most attention among its themes is the human drive to revenge. The movie The Revenant is all about being human, and this human being can at times be a predatory, evil, and bloodthirsty creature. And this is what may astonish you while watching this film. If you liked this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Thank you for your time.